time, let's please welcome the guest of the day, Mr. Ninad Karpe, 100x.vc. Welcome to EDP Masters, and I see one thing to look for investment or investors. So there are people as an entrepreneur startup, they are looking for investors, and there are people like you who are looking to invest.
So today, if you're a young student, which all your students are watching, there is always an option of going to a corporate career or becoming your own entrepreneur. For a startup today, if there's any time to do a startup, if there's any good time to do a startup, it is now and today. There is everything, the whole environment is supporting you, whether it's the government, people like us, society, all of it is supporting you. So what does it need? It needs an idea in your mind. It needs a thought in your mind, something which may not be dramatic. I'll give you an example. I'm going to labor on this a little bit more because you asked a very, very deep question. So maybe I'll take a couple of minutes more. So a lot of you know examples of successful startups in India, but I will give an example of a very amazing startup which started in US, which probably you have not heard of. There's a person called Kevin Plank. Kevin, P-L-A-N-K, Plank. So he was a college student in University of Maryland, and he used to play football, which is American football, not soccer. American football is a very high contact sport. And he was to play in the defense, and he realized after every game that he had to change 7 or 8 t-shirts and undershirts, which meant carrying a huge bag just to carry 8 or 10 t-shirts and undershirts. It's a very intense game. And he asked a simple question: is there a solution to this problem of carrying 8 or 10 sweaty undershirts every time? So he created a new material whereby the undershirt and t-shirt absorb the sweat, and you have to carry just one for the game. He gave it to his fellow colleagues who used to play, and they all loved it. From that started the story of what today is a $5 billion company called Under Armour. You can check on their website if you need any inspiration. So he's not solving a big problem. At one point of time, he did not have money even to pay $2 going through a toll. So he told a toll gate agent, I don't have money, I'm a startup founder, please let me through. And she did. So from that, so what is the problem is solving? Sweaty shirts, undershirts, and $5 billion. So you don't need to look at massive disruptive ideas. You just look outside your window and you'll see a lot of ideas. So hopefully that will inspire you to look at something. The other good news is, contrary to what you hear and feel, capital is chasing ideas today. Earlier, ideas were chasing capital. So if you have a great idea, capital will chase you. I mean, if you want to come to 100x, you're always welcome. Our email ID, I can give my email ID as well. But you have to prepare a pitch deck. You have to test your product a little bit, and then come for funding. We fund early stage startups. What do we look? Firstly, we look straight at the founder. Does she or he have the passion to become a startup entrepreneur? It requires very different skill sets. It's a lonely journey being a startup entrepreneur. And it's a journey where your family has to support you. It's not a journey of creating immediate income. It's a journey of wealth. So you have to be ready for those 3-4 years. So we look at, obviously, we look at the founder first, then we look at the market size, ideas, all of that. But firstly, founder.
100x.vc is a company where he's a partner, right, in Ninad. So they have this ambition of funding 100 startups every year. So this year it may not happen because of the COVID, but they aspire to fund 100 startups every year. So that is what.
So nothing is a disadvantage if students who are at your college and whatever I've seen, you are going to teach horizontal skills. You're going to teach skills which are not only applications. These are students who graduate from your college need to have skills which can be applied horizontally. That means you give everything whereby a person is able to learn and unlearn. So once you are graduate, you learn a specific set of skills. But with that, you have the ability of going horizontal, which means that you should be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn whatever is required. So once you've learned a skill, you get started. but you're thrown in a different environment. You have to actually unlearn it and relearn the skills. If you have that model, which I'm sure you teach your students, it's not at all difficult.
Nina, I also know that you have been on the board of Aptech Limited and you have been CEO and MD for Aptech for quite some time. Now, being an employee some place for quite some time, and from employee to shift into an employer mode as a partner and take care of things differently. So this shift from employer to employee. So, what are the basic major challenges? Because definitely not everybody will be able to straight away start as an entrepreneur because they will have to work someplace. But back of the mind. So, was it that from the very beginning you have decided one day I will become an entrepreneur, I will become an employer, or it was like a chance mil gaya, mauka mil gaya, I got an opportunity, so let me take it. So, from this transition from employer to employee to employer, how does it happen in the mind of the person? Because employee means महीने का महीना check आ जाएगा, I will get my salary, nothing to worry, it doesn't matter market में क्या हो रहा है, and then you shift to this mode. So what should be that thought process, major basic thought process shift should happen from employer to employee if somebody has to get into an entrepreneurship thought process?
Well, God was kind. That's why I got all these opportunities. It knocks only once. It knocked, and you have to grab it. But fundamentally, again, I'm going back. Even if you're an employee or an employer, owner, entrepreneur, a job, if whatever's on your table, you start owning the problem and resolving it as if it's your problem, not somebody else's problem you're trying to resolve, then the transition is very, very easy. If you have the attitude of, oh, what's on my table is, let me somehow get this off my table and get it done with, because it's really not my problem, then obviously the transition is very difficult. So ownership is critical, and if all your students understand that owning a problem, irrespective of whether you're a startup entrepreneur or an employee, then transition is very easy.
Now, I think so. What happens, Ninad, here is as we both talk about few things, and if I infer something out of it, which I think can be very, very useful in a language which my boys and girls can understand, I'll just summarize for them. So I'll just pick up very, very profound you shared with me right now, and I think everybody who has been hearing it is fabulous. And I want all of you boys and girls to listen to what he has said. And anyway, this interviews are always on the Facebook. It will be. They want you to go back and listen to what he has said. Very important point he said is, can you take the ownership of the problem, irrespective of whether you are the owner of the company or not? Whether you're the owner of that company or you're working in a company, doesn't matter. Can you take the ownership of the problem? Doesn't matter the problem has occurred because of you or in spite of you, or it is just there. If you have the attitude to own the problem, I think that's the most amazing thing anybody can do. I think that is a very basic thought process for any entrepreneur, because when you see a problem and it excites you to resolve it, solve it, then I think the world is filled with problem and you have fabulous opportunities for you to be an entrepreneur. So very, very important, because I have seen this in a lot of organization. In my college also I have seen people, boys and girls sometimes say, "Isme humko kya fayda hai? This is college problem. This is Deepak's problem. This is teacher's problem. This is education problem. हमको क्या करना है? अपन ने फीस दे दिया, जाना है, पढ़ाई करके आना है, डिग्री लेके आना है." I think you are nowhere going to be close to be a great entrepreneur in lifetime. You should only work 9 to 5 only. So you are a liability, okay, to yourself and to everybody, in liability only. But there are a few of the boys and girls in my college I have seen, moment they see there is a problem in the college or in the process or in the event, they wholeheartedly come and say, "Sir, हम उसको solve कर देते हैं. See, आप छोड़ दो, हमारे पे छोड़, हम देख लेंगे." And I know these are the signals, these are the sparks which actually shows to you have in you to be a great entrepreneur. So please remember what Ninad just now said. Take the ownership of the problem in spite of, irrespective of whose problem is it. If you're able to do that, I think you can be a great entrepreneur. So then the transition from employer to employee will not be a very difficult one. I think you just answered it brilliantly well, Ninad, for us. Thank you so much. I want to add something to it.
The only thing I can add, again, I would like to inspire, all your students, girls and boys, who really want to become entrepreneurs. This is really a time. I'm not saying you come to 100x.vc for funding. There are a lot of early stage, but we really fund at early stage. And once you become a startup entrepreneur, you realize that you're owning all the problems all the time. And today, startups fail. A lot of them fail. 50% definitely fail, and balance out of 50%, hardly 10% really make it well. So the failure rate is high, and that's the nature of the industry. But even if you fail and then join industry looks upon you as a great asset, saying that you have done your own business, unfortunately didn't do well. So it is not a black mark on your career. It is in fact a lot of progressive companies look at it positively. So I would urge you to look at it as a real good option once you graduate from this wonderful
So
institute.
you as an investor, when you invest, so what is the, because see, there are again in India especially, this whole idea of equity, startup and funding is still very early stages at a very different level. So what happens here is in a typical market scenario of India, moment we put the money, we want meter to be down. No? From the day when I put money, I'm expecting money to come. So I want to understand as an investor's mind. So you let's say you put 100 startups, you invest money. What will be the ratio which will give you feeling of success? Means out of, suppose you invested in funded 10 startups, out of 10, definitely all 10 may not click or will not click. So what is that profit percentage? Because there will be few boys and girls who will tomorrow want to be an investor, and somehow they feel investors always make money. They will always track every year. So can you give a little light on that side, please, Rina?
Sure. Let me also spend 1 minute in explaining broadly what are the parameters 100x.vc looks at. Firstly, we look at the founder. Very critical assessment of the founder. Does she or he have, what that is required? And it's a gut feeling. Secondly, we look at a market size. Whatever product or service she or he is trying, is there a large market size for what the problem they're trying to solve? Thirdly, we look at a moat. Is there advantage? Is there some new product? Is there some new idea? Or it could be an old idea done differently, new process. Are you removing some friction? Are you, making life easier? Or is it just more efficient? All of that is very critical. And lastly, we look at how long we think it will take to ramp up your business. Will it take 3 months, 6 months? So when you require. So these are broadly the parameters we look at. So the global statistics and India as well is out of every 100 early stage investments, 50 certainly do not succeed. So 50 by and large do not succeed. Out of the balance 50, 10 it's reasonable to assume will have either become extremely successful or very successful. And out of the balance 40, there is some reasonable amount of success. That means you don't lose money. So still the ratio is very highly skewed towards high risk. So when the startup does not succeed, the investor, which is us or any other VC investor, loses money, and unfortunately even the startup entrepreneur who has invested money also will lose money. But if you're successful, it is really enriching, not just from a wealth perspective. As I said earlier, startup is a journey not of income but of wealth generation. And when you really succeed, you really feel good that you've made such a big impact to everyone. It's a really great feeling.
So guys, all of you, I want you to again remember what Ninad had just now shared with us for the second time, that first every investor look at the person and the person's personality, the person's character, the person's strength, person's what is that. Then comes the idea, because idea is important, but it's not the primary requisite for any investor to invest in you. So your personality, your grooming, your strength, the mental strength, emotional strength, present, whatever it may be, your personality matters a lot. लोग घोड़े पे पैसा लगाते हैं. Okay, and are you a winning horse is what you have to upgrade yourself to. That is very important. So if I have been telling you for last 3 years in the college or 5 years in the college to all of you that guys, you have to develop your personality. Invest every possible rupee, every possible penny on developing yourself, grooming yourself. Then you have an idea. It's only value addition to the idea, or idea only adds value to you, and that is where everybody looks for it. So one of the thing, Ninad, you will have to either correct me on this, or you will have to endorse me on what I'm speaking right now, which I think is very important here is. So guys, one more thing which you'll have to make sure is your Facebook page, your Instagram account, or social media platform should be very healthy, should be very powerful, very positive, and your thoughts will be displayed on social media platform. So any investor or anybody who's willing to give you a job, or when you go for an even an alliance tomorrow, when you go for, I think much before you enter, they would have done the entire social media interview of yours. They would have done all the research of you, what kind of thought process you have, what kind of friend circle you have, what kind of posting you put, what kind of thoughts you exchange, what kind of circle of people you involved with, what's up. So everything, your Facebook is your reflection, is a mirror image of your life, social media platform. So it should, if you can keep building up slowly, tomorrow when you go to somebody, I think much before you come, they would have done all the homework about you. So you cannot cheat somebody on, say, 2 minute speech or 5 minute speech or a 20 minutes meeting with somebody saying that in 20 minutes mein pata lega usko bottle mein utar dega. I don't think that works. So am I right on saying this, Ninad? Or add something?
No, no, you're absolutely right. When we did not have technology and there was only social media, it was just a face-to-face meeting where the person articulated and the interviewer was trying to gauge. Today, it is a double-edged sword for both. So for the employer or interviewer or whoever's interviewing you, he or she gets a peek into your mind through social media, and you also get simultaneously. So
Right.
when I was let's say MDC of AppTech, and if you wanted to know me as a person, you also get into my social media and check out, is this the right person I would like to be my boss? And if you don't like it, you don't come. So it's a two-way process. So for both, it's an excellent tool if used correctly and properly to get a peek into each other's mind. And remember, people will watch what you're doing, and you can also watch what people are doing. So it's a two-way process.
Correct. So, guys, all of you teenagers, grow up. It's enough of masti, enough of all that you do. I think if you are looking forward for a business model, looking forward for a career, looking forward to start your own business and enterprise, then I think you'll have to, what I basically called as adolescence thrill. So those thrills has to be kept aside now. You have to grow up and start building up start thinking from today only as a businessman or as an entrepreneur, and that's how you have to start building up your social media page. And even if it is only next 6 months, 1 year, and when you go and meet Ninad, and if he says that all these years you are all doing some adolescent thrill, suddenly kya ho gaya, and you should be tell, abhi bada ho gaya sir, abhi 6 mahina pehle bada ho gaya, now I'm become more conscious about my future. So till that time I was a teenager, now I become a man. So that can be talk you can do, but please make sure you build up a very good social media page for yourself. It will speak a lot about you. You want to add something? Yeah.
Sure. So, if I may add, if you want inspiration, and this is part of 100x, so we invested in 20 companies in December, and we are about to invest in 10 more, by the end of this month. These are early stage companies. So one of the company is called Pocketly, Pocketly, Pocketly. These young two boys came to us. They were still in the final year of their college. And they came up with a brilliant idea. They basically are doing micro loans to college students. And you can go on the website and app and see if you want inspiration. So despite being in the final year, they were very clear. One of them had already done the product. They showed it to us. And you mentioned, forget all the masti and all that, but they were very clear. I want to be a startup founder. They are saying, we want to be a unicorn. It might take whatever time. But we funded them. Despite not having passed college, they have now, of course, cleared their college in April, May. But they came to us when they're in the final year. and they showed so much maturity and drive that we funded them. So it's possible, even when you're in the last year, provided you are motivated to do. So go on this app, Pocketly, and see the founders, Arav and Navdeep, and you can get inspired. You can get inspired.
In fact, I will tell you, by the way you're talking, Ninad, my college boys and girls are thinking, ये interview कब खत्म होगा? And we pick up the call, or when will we mail you and bombard you with our ideas? Because I know for so many of them from my college themselves have some incubation going in their mind already about some ideas conceived. So they will be just waiting. In fact, they must be giving message, sir, interview बहुत लगा sir, अभी बस बंद कर देते हैं. Let's start working upon the entire thing. You have been so encouraging, Ninad. It's wonderful to listen to you. Now, when there's a startup is a very new name, okay? And human beings, no, we all like new toys all the time, no? And we play with for some time, like we have .com boom, and then we have BPO boom, and all this thing happen. Now, startup is again a latest toy which we all say. Everybody want to be called as startup-preneur. नया नाम डालता है. And this, how when as an investor, when you go, this initial fizz, what we call, no, I have an idea and you feel wow. And sometimes investors can ask some very probing questions, very pricky questions, very tricky questions, very awkward questions, and they don't have answer for that. पूरा gap खत्म हो जाता है. You have been punctured, okay? And investors will be like that. It's like also playing sometimes devil's advocate to do. So that time, suppose somebody comes with a fresh idea, new idea, and what happens now? Everybody thinks my idea is the best, is the in thing, it is the latest craze it is going to be. And when you sit in front of an investor and they ask these kind of questions, and it actually takes away gas out of you. So one, how should they prepare? Number one, to your questions. Number two, if the gas is being leaked out from there, how do they come back, or should they come back, or they should realize कि ये सब gas था, निकल गया है, तुम कुछ और करो. So what would be your suggestion from your side, Ninad?
So firstly, there are two or maybe three. Firstly, be honest. The moment you try to cover up, it will, as you said, gas leak ho jayega. So if you don't have the answers, you say, I don't know. If you haven't thought of it before and a probing question is asked, say, oh, I haven't thought of it. Or if you want to add. So if you're not honest, it won't work out. See, remember, the investor is putting money at risk, high risk. This is not money he's putting in State Bank of India for fixed deposit, where he doesn't ask any questions. He's putting money at risk where there's a 90% chance of money not coming back. So she or he are going to ask questions. And you have to be prepared for, as you said, probing questions. And if you fail at the first part, you should go back. And if you think you have answers to the questions which she or he has asked you, and now you have answers. So we have had people who, let's say, we have this model of investing in class. We call it class 1, where we invested 20, and now class 2, which is another 10. So we had rejected some people. They've come back to us saying, we've thought through this, we've changed our model, and here's our pitch deck. So before you come for a final pitch, you need to spend time on the internet with your Deepak or your professor, with your parent. You have to get your idea validated, how to prepare a pitch deck, how to pitch. All this is available for your generation free on the internet. You have to prepare for it. You can't just go saying, "Arey, Ninad invited me, so chalo kal subah chale jate hain. Let me." This chance doesn't come back. If I'm spending half an hour with you, you have to be totally prepared. And to be totally prepared, you have to take that effort of preparing. Everything is available, all resources. How to prepare a pitch deck, how to go for a pitch, what are the do's and don'ts. All resources available free on the internet. Use them, go for a pitch, and be honest to yourself and to the thing. Because if you're not honest, it's not going to work.
Srinivas, what happens is my question also are born out of our discussion. So I also don't know. I was supposed to ask this question. So what happens sometimes? I ask question, I realize ki, yeah, I also can add value to the question. So along with what he has said, I would want to
Oh,
just
good.
add, right? So it will be helpful to my boys and girls, so because I also discover few things in my own relation. So boys and girls, the whole idea here is this. This will be my suggestion to you. When you go and sit in an interview, it can be any interview. It can be a job interview. It can be a startup interview. It can be investors interview. When you sit down there are two parts to it. The idea is born out of your mind, but the energy comes from your heart. That emotion comes. So when your idea is rejected or the probing questions are there and you don't have answers to it, see there are two ways you can come back. One is your mind was boggled down. Okay, you just lost your mind. You did not know how to answer. One way you can come out of that interview is you're blank with the mind. You don't have answers to the question which were asked. That is number one. Second possibility is you come with your gas is leaked from the heart, which means your emotions are drained. When emotions are drained, I think you've lost the excitement in the idea. I don't think you'll be able to come back with something. But after coming back, your mind is blank, and but your heart is saying, "No, but idea is brilliant here. I don't know why I did not have answer for this. Let me probe, let me do homework, let me do R&D, let me find out what can be the answer to satisfy the man there. I want to again go back and say because your emotional strength or emotions are still backing, which means your passion is on. Passion is not leaked. The moment there is an emotional loss after the interview, I think you should give up on the idea because you can't come up from there. Mind is blank, no, it's okay. Sometimes, for example, we write the examination paper and mind is blank or malum nahi pada ki iska answer. Later you come to know after coming out, "Arey yaar, I knew the answer for that." So it was the pressure of the situation, mind would have gone blank. So you can either come back from an interview, a awkward interview like that. You might come back with a blank mind, or we can come back with a loss of emotions. If you're the emotional loss, emotional drain, I think your gas is over. You are not supposed to continue with the idea. But if mind is only blank and emotions are still saying, "Nahi yaar, I think kuch kar sakte hain yaar." Maybe he didn't understand. I'll go to somebody else. Maybe somebody else. You should hold on to your idea. Is what will be my thought process to all of you to remember. Am I okay, right in saying, Nina, because you have a better idea on this?
No, no, absolutely. Feel free to embellish. You have such a wide experience. I'm sure you can always add to whatever I'm saying.
Thank you so much. Okay, now when what happens sometimes now the person comes to you with an idea, with their own idea and the startup, and they're very convinced and they have conviction about the entire thing, but it doesn't click to you. Sometimes investors don't take that. They feel by, as you said, gut feeling. I don't think it works, and you will reject the whole thing. And 2 years later, you come to know it has become a next big thing. So how do you that time you deal? क्या यार हम miss कर दिए हाँ? As much as it can be this side, it can be also that side also. So that time how and you deal with it? Yeah, no, we have given a chance to this guy. We would have the right now the biggest share.
So, Deepak, this is a nightmare situation for an EVC. Idea which he or he has rejected becomes, let's say, unicorn. And in this, and all VCs have it because it's not possible to. It's what we in our industry we call it anti-portfolio. So which we did
Okay.
not accept, and they become big. So just to give an example, Airbnb is a huge billion dollars, multi-billion dollar company. They were rejected by I think 5 or 6 VCs early stage before the sixth or seventh one accepted it. Now, can you imagine the first 4 or 5 saying no, this, I don't think this is going to work. This is disruptive, and the sixth or seventh said no, this is a disruptive idea. Let's fund it. So yes, it can happen. We reject ideas, but so just to give you actual statistics, we have actually published it on our internet on our website as well. In class one, we invested in 20 companies, 25 lakhs each, with a 7% stake on future equity. There's something new called ISAFE mode. I won't get into technical, but we got from last July to October 1,982 pitch decks. From that 1,982, we came lower, and finally we have selected 20. Does not mean the balance 1,962 are bad. Just that we haven't invested, and I'm sure one of that 3 years, if you again have a chat, and if you invite me again, hopefully you will, 3 years down the line, I can tell you idea things out of that which have succeeded and we haven't seen. So if a VC does not accept your idea or says no to you, does not mean the idea is bad. Persevere, persevere. It's just that in his or her mind, it doesn't fit in their scheme of things, or maybe the thesis which the VC follows.
Any example from Indian subcontinent?
Yeah, so there are plenty. So, I mean, just to give an example, I won't name it, but there was a IIT engineer and another technical. They came to us in October, and a very simple idea of splitting. If you go, 5 young kids go to a restaurant, and the common bill comes. Instead of each one sharing money with each other and transferring, they had built an app whereby the app takes care of the splitting, and each one can pay individually. Now we thought, it's just a small feature. How can it become a big idea? Because anyone can. They just got funded. They've got funded $1.9 million at a valuation of $10 million. It is just a small app and simple idea. So there you are. I'm giving you a straight example from October till now. We thought it is probably not a big idea, but they already valued at 60, 70 crores, $10 million.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question is going to be a little tricky, I think so. See, when I have seen people in business when they invest, like there was a time this MCX and commodity sharing, commodity investment was going on. They should put money in MCX, gold, everything. And I've seen so many people with my own eyes sitting in their shops where they have put money in MCX and commodity trading. Then doing their business, they will see the TV where down it will be keep scrolling. Gold, silver, atta, chana, sugar, and all the commodity they have invested, stock open. So they do not focus on the business of their own, focus on this on TV or screen only. That is number one. Number two, there are people who will fund it, who will give the money, and interest start from every month. So they take the interest advance में ले लेता है, yeah, for the entire year or every month interest is become first. So then the meter is on. For a VC, you give money, you did all the homework, and some people are really very smart. They get money out of you, and you put into this 20, 30, 40, and for your target is 100. When you put in 100, so much money is gone. Even if you take that money which you mentioned, 25 rupees for 7% equity you give, so you can understand what kind of money goes. After putting money in so many places, they are in their space working. How you sleep?
Yeah. So yes, we sleep on the assumption that out of 100, at least 99 are good people.
No,
There must be one.
I'm talking about literally how do you go to sleep? Literally, how do you go to sleep? Because here
Yeah.
people who have invested few thousands or maybe some lakhs, and they keep watching the television, scrolling down all the time, and with every fluctuating, their heartbeat goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And you people invest crores and crores, millions and millions on people whom you have met for 3-4 times and then given the money. उसका बाद में नींद कैसे आता है आप लोग को? वो ट्रिक बताओ.
So I mean, it's an interesting question. So if any of your students wants to get into a VC industry, she or he should try and do some internships with some of the firms. It's a small industry in India still. It's not a large industry, and see how risk appetite works. How these businesses of such high risk operate. There is, of course, an art to it, but there's also a science to it. And that is not easy to explain. One has to experience it within a company and see. If you just do 1 or 2 months internships as well, you'll figure out. My God, these are high risk businesses. But to take that final risk, there's still a science to it. And if you've gone through the science, finally there's an art to it. There's a judgment call, which all of us take. Then how do you sleep? Of course, you send prayers. You assume that there's only one bad sheep out of the 100 which you invested, and eventually Honestly, Deepak, the reason I get good sleep is I genuinely believe that young boys and girls, and we invest only in Indian companies. We do not invest in companies outside India, although we can. We are a SEBI registered fund, but we have consciously said we'll invest only in Indian companies. So by definition, they're Indian people whom we startup founders. I honestly believe that 99% of young boys and girls are motivated to make a difference. These young boys and girls will not cheat, will not do something which is contrary to what their conscience tells them. So, on that belief and touchwood, so far I have been proved right, and I'm hoping I'll always be proved right.
So, and my question is again built on this, what you said. Do you think there is a mindset or a temperament for an investor? Because everybody cannot be investor. We are putting so much money on people not known to you for a long time, and then to have peaceful sleep. So, is Ninad as an entrepreneur or as a venture capitalist? So, you will understand these terms much better than anybody. So, are you driven by greed or driven by fear, insecurity? So, what does it? Where does it
So,
is into play?
yeah, so I am driven by hoping that when we invest 100, I will make a difference to a lot of young boys and girls, and I am driven by my desire that as a firm we are driven by a desire that out of we will be able to really fund innovation in India, which is very very narrow. Funding new ideas, funding innovation. There are not many people doing it. So we believe private capital should also fund great ideas. There's a huge shortage of it, and we are actually driven by this thought that, and obviously, we do believe we'll get rewards in the long term. It takes a couple of years for us to even get our first. So it's a 5 to 7 year journey. It takes a lot of time to get rewards.
We are back, Ninad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think this technology is what it is.
okay, something is better than nothing. So we don't. I don't have any complaint with technology because it's okay. At least we are having this possible. Otherwise, to you coming from Mumbai to Bangalore or me coming from Bangalore to Mumbai will be a hell lot of a time and money. So this is still acceptable to we deal with this disruption in
Agreed,
between. Yeah. So
agreed,
we
agreed.
are talking about. So my one more thing which I want all these boys and girls or maybe their parents that they can talk to. See, now what is happening is venture capitalist as a group is different, but there are a lot of businessmen themselves. Actually, if they want, they can. Should you? What do you think? What will be a suggestion? Should they share some percentage of their surplus or the corpus to fund somebody and still continue to do their business? Is this concept or is this idea still a very naive idea to Indian business people, or you think it will never happen, or it's a good thing to do?
No, no, certainly good thing to do. If you are got a man of means, you should set aside some money because the risk to reward ratio is very high. So if you set up, let's say, you have X amount of capital, 10% of that for this. This is called alternate investment. Investing in startups. It's you might lose the entire money which you have lost, but if you are lucky enough, you can actually make 100 times return, which no bank deposit or anything can give you. So certainly, if you have means, you should set aside some money. It serves two purposes. You can get phenomenal returns, and you're also encouraging young boys and girls in their journey to become entrepreneurs.
Okay, I have this again. I want to revisit the question which I asked you about the sleep. How do you sleep? So when you invest the money and give to somebody, so in the mind, what you say? See, it's all you've done all the homework, you've done all the R&D, सब हो गया है, पूरा analysis भी कर लिया है, and still given the money. So back of the mind, what does a person? Is he still attached with the money, or in the money is written off कि ये गया तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, आया तो बहुत बड़ी बात है. नहीं आया तो कोई बात नहीं, I'm okay with this. So in the mind, there is something called mental write-off happens in the mind to have a proper
No.
sleep. You sleep with the mind, sleep with the attachment ki nahi aayega aayega. So what is that internal game happens?
There's no mental write-off because it's your money, it's hard-earned money. But there's mental switch off. If you have that button in you, then you can become a VC. You have to have mental switch off. If you mentally write off, you do not then are passionate about about the companies you invested in. So,
Okay.
for example, I mentioned Pocketly. There are so many such companies, and I know without batting an eyelid, I can passionately talk about the investment unit. So certainly there is attachment, but you are going into it with the eyes open, knowing that it's a high risk business. So there are very many high risk business. For example, if you're a commodity trader, people do day trading and they lose money, they earn money. So there are all these kind of high risk businesses in the world, and it requires a different mindset, and it requires a small switch in your mind, which comes, in your brain pre-wired a mental switch off button.
Exactly. I only want to know वो switch off button कैसा होता है, किधर होता है, क्या बोलने से click होता है. I don't know. I don't know what you speak. I have something else to speak to myself. Everybody has कि क्या बोलने से switch off होता है, because to be very very honest, people may not like it, but a lot of people have switch off means रात को एक quarter मार के पी गया तो switch off हो जाता है. So, but we are from thought school of thought. So, in a very decent, very spiritual terms, not that liquid spirituality, but solid spiritual term, what will be that switch off button which Ninad या फिर any capital venture capitalist will think ऐसा बोल के Am I audible? Yeah, we're back.
I
We're back.
can hear you. It was dropping in between. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. So, कुछ बोल सकते हो switch के बारे में?
Sure. So I think I mean, this might sound philosophical, and you're a better person to articulate what I'm saying. But fundamentally, if you believe in positive thoughts, positive mind, and positivity of people, that most people are good. There is always 1%, 2% people who want to trick you, take your my 25 lakhs and run away. If you believe in positivity, uh, you can switch off. So my broad advice is, if you are any high risk job, business, believe in positivity in life. So, I mean, this might sound a little vague, but you're a better judge because you have, mentored and coached a lot of people. But that's really, that switch off button is triggered by positive thoughts, not by any liquid, which some people require. That actually liquid sometimes triggers negative thoughts. It's really by this positive thoughts.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I wanted to know how you switch it off. So fair enough. I think everybody has their own way of this. Okay, so Ninal, we are toward the end of the interview, so we'll
Sure.
have this last couple of things. So one, I strongly believe that more than reading 1,000 books, it is better to have a teacher in life. You get to know
True.
everything in essence. And similarly, than reading 1,000 books on entrepreneurship, if you can live with an entrepreneur for a day, it's worth everything. So if I ask you for this request that if I have to take one boy or girl of mine to spend one day with you in a month, working hours with you at your place. Every month, one boy or girl will come to your place and work with you, along with you, like a shadow of yours, and absorb every possible thing from your mind and heart, what they can help. So, will you be able to oblige us on this?
Sure, we can. I think the task has become a little more difficult with the virtual
Not
world. Yeah.
after lockdown opens up, maybe
Okay.
1 month later, 3 months later, when physical proximity will be possible, and we can, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs coming from Mumbai and Pune on EDP Masters, so we will be able to relate coordinate with Pune also, Mumbai also, and Bangalore also, and Rajkot also. Few places are there. So whenever lockdown opens, I'm talking about that. Not now. Maybe virtually will be very, very impossible, and I don't want to do that. So they will just be with you whenever you start the day in the morning. They will come with you, be with you, spend the whole day with you, whatever they can absorb from you. So will it be possible to oblige for us in this?
Sure, it is certainly possible. But I'll give a better offer, much better than this.
Please.
So we do take interns for 6 months.
Okay.
And these are people who can do a college education and simultaneously do internships. But we limit
Okay.
it to 6 months because we feel beyond that, the intern may not learn much more. So you can do internship with us. In fact, today we have 5 or 6 interns. They just started in, I think, end June. So 6 months, they will be there till December. But post that, we'll again look for new interns. By October, November, we'll start. So if
Hmm.
you're interested in spending 6 months internship with us, write to us. I will give a separate email ID. Unfortunately, I'll have to give one more email ID because that's where all the HRs happen. It's called hello, HELLO, at
Hello.
100x.vc. So you can put
Okay.
it on your scroll, hello at 100x. Please put the title, internship. And if you are excited about this industry, we are fundamentally early stage investors. You can spend 6 months doing internship and you'll learn. So it is far better than spending one day with me. You will really gain as a person.
That
And it is open. Please write internship. Please write Kingdom College. So it goes through the fast track.
Thank you so much for giving the opportunity. Okay, and last request to you, Ninad, if my boys and girls were your little ones, means if they were your daughter or your son, and they have come to you saying that, Dad, we want to get into business, we have to start our own enterprise. So, what will be your advice to them as a father, one, and as an investor by yourself? So, as an entrepreneur and as a father, so what will be your advice to the boy or a girl who come to you as a daughter or son? So, next couple of minutes you can share directly to them.
Everything starts with an idea. You have to have an idea. So if you can't go to someone else for an idea, you can't go to Deepak, you can't go to Ninad saying, "Give me an idea." Then it is his idea, it is my idea. He will be passionate about it, I will be passionate. But you have to start with an idea, and it is your idea. Is it some small problem you're solving? So you cannot go to anyone without an idea what you want to solve. It could be very small problem. So start with the idea, nurture the idea. Any idea which you have, if you start sharing with someone, if let's say the first out of 3 people you share, hopefully at home only two say it's a bad idea, believe me, it's a good idea because you're then embarking on something which is not so obvious to others. If you think of an idea and then say, "Oh, great," you have to be careful. That means it's such an obvious thing, which it's not out of box. So start with an idea. I always tell people ideas are fragile. If you drop the idea, it breaks and it's gone. If you feel strongly about the idea, nurture it, talk to one or two people whom you really trust, whom we think can nurture the idea, and build on that. So it has to start with an idea. After that, once the idea is ready, you have to build on it. Maybe you have to, build a product around it. You have to test it with 10, 20 people. Again, I'm going back to the example of Pocket Lee and these young boys who were in the last year. They actually, in the third year of engineering college, they built an app within college, and it got so popular. The college bought the app from them, small amounts of money, but they realized that it's such a great idea that the college itself bought it. It was just connected to some submission of project or some such app they prepared, and the college bought. So they realized that if even if you build a small app around an idea, it can work. So once the idea is ready, you have to spend time building around it. Whether you have to create an app, you have to develop something, test it with some people, 10, 20, 30, 40 people. Once that is tested, then go to a VC, then go to someone who can do it. In this entire journey, a mentor is very critical. And if you don't get a good mentor, I tell people he becomes a tormentor. He or she can become a tormentor. So be careful what kind of mentor whom you select. Sometimes a person who's been in the industry can be a bottleneck because he or she is not able to think out of the box. So start with the idea, develop some small things around it, then go to the VC. You have to talk to your family. They will have to support you for 3 to 5 years, 3 to 4 years. You'll not start earning income from day one. You have to be ready for it. And the founders we fund, they are working from home. They are working from now. Of course, cafeterias are shut. It doesn't require a lot of money to build an idea. And if I'm permitted to talk about my personal journey, I'm very fond of pocket squares, which are put in jackets. I think I've lost you again, Deepak.
We are back. Now,
So let me kind of recap. Start with an idea, build something around it, then go to VC,
I
and
will.
remember your family has to support you. I'll just take 2 more minutes, Deepak, to just share my personal thought. I'm
Please.
very deeply passionate about a fashion product called a pocket square, which you put in your pocket of your jacket or bandi. I'm really fond of it. 2 years back, I said I must create my own brand of pocket square just as a passion, not for anything. And I created one. I had did it without a single employee. I got designs done, outsourced. I got it manufactured. I put it on Amazon, and I got someone to do the fulfillment. So without any office, without any person, I wanted to prove to myself you can create a brand. It's called Carpe Diem, Karpediem Pocket Squares. It's still there on Amazon. So it's possible. I wanted to prove to myself if you have an idea and you're passionate about it, you can do it. You don't require too much capital to build on it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ninad Karpe from 100x.vc. Thank you, Ninad, for coming in, logging in. It was a wonderful time with you. Happy day to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Pleasure, my pleasure.